Salute, dude.
We made it. Show's done.
Oh, finally done. Yeah,
Oh.
totally done. You need to just keep hitting your microphone there?
I hit the microphone right off
Yeah?
the top.
So what's going on? How's Buffalo been?
Buffalo has not been well, but I'm here. I'm happy.
Yep.
We're having a good time.
Yep, totally. We finally got payback submitted
Payback is done.
after all of this. It's been nuts.
Yeah, I think it was really a crazy experience all around, you know, like doing the whole show with the games, and even like you guys asking me to like direct and do the show, to me was just absolutely crazy, and I'm happy to have been a part of the whole thing.
Dude, it was amazing. Like when we did Next Stage, which was that variety show we did for Bell, like in the middle of the pandemic in like an empty hotel. Like it was just one of those weird things, but everyone made a great product. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
And
yeah.
so for me, I was just trying to replicate sort of what we had there without all the pandemic restrictions and all that kind of stuff. And like I said, going to Vancouver and reconnecting with Jay was amazing.
Yeah, and that. Well, first of all, let's get this. This iPad is about to die. It's at 5%. It's going down hard. Okay. But do you have any? Do I go first?
Yeah, you can go first.
Okay. Do you have any fives?
Go fish, dude.
Okay, so you got to remind me here.
So
I pick up a card.
that's it.
Do I get rid of a card?
No, if it's a 5, you get to go again.
Really?
Yep.
So you know that I have a 5 if I just picked up a 5?
Well, you got to show me anyway. So if I give you a 5, you have to have a 5 in your hand. So you have to show me
Okay.
that. Yeah. So when I say, do you have any 4s?
Okay.
And do you have any 4s?
No, but I just picked up a 5.
Oh, you did. Okay, so you show me the 5, and then
I show you the 5.
so it would still be your turn because you asked for a 5 and you got it. That's how the game works.
You know, I definitely knew how to play golf.
No. Now you asked me for a different
Oh,
card.
do you have any 2s?
Go fish.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now I'm done. And I don't remove cards from my hand. I thought there was like a dead pile.
Nope. So basically, when
When you get 4 of a kind,
you lay it down flat in front of you. Right? So
Okay.
do you have any 4s?
no, go
Okay,
fish.
so I got a fish.
Is it go fish or goldfish?
No, I think it's go fish.
Oh,
Like
okay. I
you're
always thought-
fishing for the card you're looking for.
I always thought it was goldfish, but I guess go fish makes way more sense.
No. So it's your goldfish to go.
My goldfish turn. Okay, so do you have any 9s?
Go fish.
Really screwed
So
up
yeah,
there.
when I was in Vancouver and I started chatting with Jay about just like catching up, like I hadn't seen Jay in probably 10 years.
Yeah.
And man, he was a big board game publisher all of a sudden. And I'd started doing comedy festivals and I'd had a few TV shows under my belt. So we were just like, let's do something together. And that turned into there's no content really about board games or the
Yeah.
modern board game.
Yeah, there's been things that obviously I think are like, you know, there have been people playing games, but I think the level of like having comedians play games like a poker, celebrity poker
Yeah.
scenario, I think it was very unique for what it was, right? Especially having people who play games and
Right.
are also comedians.
Yeah.
You're now really putting together a whole recipe.
Well, and it was funny because the initial concept, I'd talked to Deanne and I'd talked to Ted and a few other comics who I knew played board games on a regular basis. And then when Jay and I were talking about it, it's like, who's going to direct it? And I remember when we were talking about Next Stage and before we even did all that, you had been doing some stuff in LA.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, we could ask Mark to do it because we've worked with Mark. He's
Yeah.
great. You know, he knows the comedians, that kind of thing. And I liked the fact that you knew nothing about board games.
Do you have any 2s?
Go fish.
Yeah, so you know Jay from before.
Yeah, so I met Jay when I started performing. He used to do a show where he was like this explorer character, and it was like this great, like interactive kind of show. And then he worked for Best Buy, I think, or Future Shop, or one of those places, and got a great opportunity to move to Vancouver. So he moved to Vancouver,
Okay.
and then that's it. I mean, for sort of a decade, we would like, you know, check in with each other, you know, every couple of years.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
he'd
yeah.
be in town or I'd be in Vancouver, and that was basically it. But we never really got to sit down and hang out. So during the pandemic, I knew basically no one in Vancouver, and then we started catching up. and my sort of career trajectory with television and comedy and his with board games, we were like, well, maybe now's the time we put it together, because his concern was there was not a lot of content for board gamers or about board gaming unless it was like a tutorial or like an educational video, right? Which there's tons of, and a lot of those are great. But I wanted something that was for people who liked board games and were into that scene, but also people who were not into that scene.
And I think that's like the thing. It's your turn, by the way.
Do you have any sixes?
No, go fish.
Man.
Yeah, this is really rough. Okay, do you have any 10s?
Oh, yeah.
Thank God. And if you have multiple 10s, you have to give me all of them?
Yeah, but you have to show me that you have a 10. I mean,
now?
Well, no. So when you ask me for 10s and I give you one, in theory, you're supposed to show me one out of your hand.
So do you have any 10s?
Yeah, exactly.
After you show me that you have one?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we're going to play trustworthy go fish, but yeah, you get to go again.
Do you have any 3s? All right. But you said if you have multiple 10s, you're supposed to give them to me?
Yeah.
Or can I ask you again?
You can, but if I had 2 10s, I'd have to give them both to you.
You would have to give them to me.
Yeah.
Okay. So I asked you, do you have any 7s?
Go fish.
Okay, I don't think I asked you that yet.
Yeah. So yeah, I wanted to do something with comedy and Jay wanted to do something with board games. So we came up with, we did a couple of crazy brainstorming sessions over coffee.
Yeah.
And the whole idea of Payback was we were trying to create a game that would fit within another game. That was the basic idea. I don't know if you remember.
Well, let's rewind a bit because actually, let's talk about that, because I remember before it was supposed to be Payback was an extension to
any other game.
Any game, like Go Fish.
That was the idea. The idea was to create an expansion game.
Yeah.
And we were going to use the TV show to show people that even if you don't know how to play King of 12 or Four Gardens, you could still play this simple Payback game.
Yeah.
But then it got way too complicated, and then, as you know, the whole idea from, the year it took for us to film, changed so many times. Do you have any 8s?
Yeah. I have to give you all of them?
All of them. So then I get to do this and say, you have any jacks?
No. That sucks.
I know, dude. You should ask me for an 8.
Well, I thought you said you didn't have any 8s.
Well, I didn't that when you asked me the first time, and then I must have picked one up.
Oh, man. Do you have any 5s?
Go fish. Yeah, so that was my favorite part about doing this TV show was the conversations you and I had where we're like, this is not going to work. And then we check with Jay and we're like, Jay, what do you think? You know what I mean? That.
Yeah, and that was our concern really was, first of all, what is the payback going to be? Because we're not now playing that version of the show.
Correct, yeah.
And then also, I remember we were talking so much about, is this an educational show or entertainment? Because, Jay's thought and concern was everything that is out there is very heavily educational.
Exactly.
Or
review-based.
With in-depth details about the game.
Yeah.
And, I really think that, going in the world of entertainment, showing people how fun and playing the game properly, but showing everybody how fun the game is in group settings, I think we did a good job with that, I
think so too. My number one goal and what we pitched to the publishers was we want to show people having fun playing your game.
Yeah.
And to me, whether you understand the game fully or know how to play the game or have ever wanted to play the game, if you're in a game store or if you're having friends over, if you saw that and you're like, this looks relatively easy to play or this looks super fun, that would be the promotion of the game and how we help the gaming community.
Yeah, exactly.
Rather than it being a direct advert or thing for board games. You have any kings?
No. Go fish. Do you have any 3s?
Go fish.
Man.
But, I think it turned out great. And I think... we had a lot of challenges, especially since it was still kind of COVID times, right?
Well, yeah, because that, going back to the next stage show, that all started with you and me sitting in your car, and I kind of just threw the idea about a variety performers in variety stores.
Exactly.
And that got completely twisted to whatever it ended up being.
Yeah.
And then when we were dealing with PayBack,
Right.
it was the world has started to open up a bit.
Yep.
You know, but we still needed to have everybody there not be sick.
Right.
Which ended up being a little bit of a pickle that we fell into.
Yes. Do you have any jacks?
Picked one up. I was
Sweet.
just about to ask you for that.
How do you feel about aces? You have any of them?
No, go fish. Do you have any tens?
Go fish.
Oh, man.
So yeah, once we figured it out, Jay and I decided, we pitched it to Bell, and it wasn't quite fully fleshed out yet. And then we thought, well, why don't we try to get some board game publishers on board? And then if we can do it that way, and I can maybe tie it into some comedy shows, we might be able to do this thing on our own.
Yeah.
Which was the idea.
And that was where, I was excited to come in because I was like, I have all this equipment and I wanted to help out with it, but I've never also done something to a level where I think in my mind there was a different expectation for like publishers and YouTube than Bell Fibe.
Right.
Where
Of
I'm
course.
like, now there's like technical things that I have to make sure are taken care of, and this was out of my realm of knowledge. And I remember definitely going down a spiral of like, this is all gonna fail. Like,
Right.
I don't want to be the reason that this doesn't go to air or something.
I
and-
mean, ultimately, like when I saw you on the Next Stage set when we were filming it, you were always watching Paul, the director. You were always watching, the sound guys. You were watching the camera guys. Like you
Yeah.
always had these like, it was less about the performance questions
Yeah,
and what
yeah,
you
yeah.
wanted, and you were more. It felt to me that you were more interested in that stuff.
Yeah.
Which to me, when Jay and I were talking about it, because that was the thing, Jay's like, I'm not going to direct it. I'm like, I don't want to direct it. And it was sort of like, how are we going to afford a director?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
it basically came down to that. And the only person who popped into my brain was you. Because, like I said, and I fully thought you were going to be like, it's not really my thing, man. I'm not interested. Thanks for thinking
Yeah.
of me. Let's do the next one.
Wow, yeah,
Right? Because
no.
I had no idea how much work was involved and how much equipment and all of that. That is not my department.
Yeah,
You know?
and honestly, like the difference for me between PayBack and Next Stage was I want to be on camera, but I know my strengths and my weaknesses to the
course.
most part, and I'm really not exactly easy to work with when I don't feel comfortable.
Oh, no, I know.
And I felt way more comfortable behind the scenes. Sitting in that like little chair watching all the cameras. Now that everything was rolling,
Yeah.
I knew we had the right people on camera.
Yeah.
And that was also such a learning experience of like seeing like, hey, these people are here, they know the games, they're high energy, they're happy people, they
Yeah.
joke around. They like to smile and laugh and all that thing.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that stuff, it writes itself
Of
at
course.
the end of the day, right?
Yeah. Do you have any sixes?
No. Go fish. Do you have any twos?
Go fish.
Really stupid.
You got some nines, though, right?
I do have one.
Oh, sweet. How about a king? You got a king?
No kings.
Oh, king.
So, how do you win this game?
The person who has the most one of these at the end is the winner.
At the end of the deck?
When the cards are finished. Yeah.
Oh my god.
How do you feel about jacks?
No jacks. Do you have any tens?
Go fish.
Man, I feel like I just asked you that.
Yeah, I thought you did an amazing job, dude. Like I thought, and I had all the confidence in the world that you had backups on top of backups. Like it felt safe. It felt like we weren't going to lose anything. You know what I mean?
There was a high level paranoia in the sense of maybe like, here's a crazy thing. I thought I brought too much stuff.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, we used everything.
Right.
Where I was just thinking, I need more stuff now. And you realize how much goes into filming. We did like a low budget show.
Yes.
And you're like, man, if this was like a high budget thing, like there is so much equipment, so many wires.
Oh, cables and everything. Yeah.
And I really learned a lot from, what happens technically to wire management.
Right.
And that to me was like a big thing to be like, keep all the wires safe and wrap them properly.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you have any aces?
Terrible.
I got one here.
Yeah, you need 4 of them though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. No, I trust you have them.
Do you have any 5s?
Go fish.
Okay, I got the ace here.
Nice.
Okay, do you have
No,
any...
you said 5s. I said go fish, and you picked an ace.
Yeah, so
So
go
you can lay
again.
those down, but it's my turn because you asked for a 5. So
But I picked up an ace.
it doesn't matter. You
Oh,
asked
so
for
you
a
have
5.
to get the 5?
Yeah, but those
Okay.
you can lay down as soon as you get them.
Okay,
for sure.
so now I'm done.
Yeah, now you're done. Do you have any 9s?
No, go fish. Do you have any 4s? Thank you. Close this down. Do you have any 7s?
Go fish.
Okay. So, do you, like, obviously I had my own challenges directing and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Would you be considered a showrunner? Was it a showrunner or is it a producer? I know you're a producer.
Yeah, I mean, technically a showrunner, I guess, as far as like just doing everything on the set as well. But ultimately, I was listed as producer because I did all the like, the behind the scenes, the logistics, the paperwork, and all that kind of stuff.
And like, what challenges did you fall into?
I mean, the biggest challenge was the like 9 a.m. the first day of us shooting before we went to studio, and Ted Morris, who we hired to host the show, was sick.
Yeah.
And he called, and there was a chance that he might feel better like that night and then have to drive from Toronto to Waterloo where we shot this thing and then be on camera in front of everyone. And really, it wasn't my call. I mean, Ted, I gave him as much time as I could.
Yeah.
And then he decided that he needed to pull out, which was really unfortunate because he was really instrumental in the early days.
For sure.
With Christoph and helping try to figure out what games we're going to play and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I remember you guys were shooting with Christoph on location somewhere, and Jay and I didn't tell anyone. Jay and I just went to the coffee shop and sat down and we're like, okay, we've got like 90 minutes before Mark's finished to figure out who's going to host this TV show and how are we going to do it. And it was crazy. So I got a few names from Christoph. I got a few names from Deanne, right? And just tried to figure it out. And yeah, I feel terrible for Ted, and I really hope that when we chat with Ted, that he doesn't feel like he missed out too much, and we'll be able to use him next season or something.
Yeah, and I think like it obviously having the whole shift of Brian come in and Niall moving to a hosting role, like it was a lot for like a last second thing, and Niall obviously came and delivered like crazy, and Brian was just like, a blessing in disguise for the show. It was the whole thing, like, unfortunately worked out, but not in a good way all around, because you could have your cake and eat it too.
Yes.
Would have been Ted, Brian, and Niall.
Exactly.
And everyone else that we had.
Everyone else, exactly.
Like, it really was, and which to me just gives us like faith in the future to be like, there is something here.
Right.
And it, maybe 4 people with a host of 5 is not enough. Maybe we need to have more people, but I understand these games are made for 4 to 6 people or whatever. But
I mean, I think the thing that makes me feel the greatest is the entire cast and the entire crew. I think we're on board with the idea.
Yeah.
And they wanted to make something great, and they knew we were doing it on a low budget, and everyone was super into it.
Yeah.
And when we had to like seriously shift stuff around, everyone was like there to help. And that to me is the greatest situation ever. Like, I don't even care what the final product is. Everyone walked away having a good experience.
Well, I think we should save the whole dynamic for episode 2, and we could definitely can take it from there next week.
Yeah. You got any jacks?
No, go fish. Oh, do you have any 7s?
Go fish.